So welcome back to another post-build video. This time it's for the Lego architecture set 21058 Great Pyramid of Giza. This is my third set, and we'll see. Most likely I will buy more. The three that I do own are those that I think are really nice looking. They appeal to me, but of course there are a ton of other architecture, you know, the city skylines and all that. I don't fancy them that much. So it will be interesting to see, because I do love miniatures, and this is, you know, as small as they get. But anyway, let's start off as usual with the manual. And as it is in most of the cases, it starts off with some, tidbits, some information about whatever it is depicting. In this case, it's the pyramids. And some interesting facts here. It was built or made out of 2.3 million blocks. I mean, that's just an insane number to sort of manually haul up, the slopes here on the sides. We can't even imagine, the monumental task it must have been to, create this thing. And it also mentions that we still don't really know exactly how it was built, which is interesting. From 140 years of modern archaeological excavation, as it says here. Anyway, it was built for Khufu, I guess, a pharaoh of a 4th dynasty. Took 27 years to construct. And another interesting fact is that it was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. I mean, that's a long time. So yeah, some words from the designer, or it says the design team, but I guess this is the main designer. Senior designer, it says here, Anderson Ward Krubb. Also, of course, they, at some point, I don't know when, they did find all these passageways, leading everywhere to the main chambers and stuff like that. So this is just so fascinating. History is really fascinating, and I'm just so curious about what's still left to be discovered, because there's most certainly are things. And some just general information about some areas of the build where they believe it was, done in a certain way, and others they are more certain. Like, the smaller pyramids, they know for a fact that they are there, but they also believe that, the top capstone was built out of gold, but they don't know for certain. Workers' village, the obelisk was invented, most likely invented about 150 years after the Great Pyramid was built. So anyway, continuing on, the set itself, the manual itself was really straightforward, nothing really, odd or strange. It did have some parts that were just a bit more difficult to build, like this one, because it doesn't have a support on the back side. So when you try to press all the pieces into place, you can feel the whole structure, sway around. So you had to be careful. But otherwise, nothing to mention here. So I guess I can mention it right now in terms of the water, but we will get to it. But I'll just show you just real quickly here. Is that the water tiles that they use? I'm not too fond about this. It would look better if they had, plain white underneath, I guess, because it would get more of a teal, sort of turquoise water color. Because I do like this coloring more than than this one. So anyway, so that's it for the instructions book or manual. I'll move on to the bill itself. Okay, so as usual, it is kind of difficult to frame everything, but if we look at the whole set from this angle, I mean, it looks really nice. This is why I picked it up. I was hesitant in the beginning if I wanted to, buy this one, but it just kind of grew on me. I do, I do enjoy, the color scheme. It's fairly simple, but it goes, from the waterfront here up some green areas close to the water up to the pyramids and the worker buildings, and then the pyramid itself. Of course, the pyramid is kind of, I don't know, simple. It's just white, not that exciting, but it looks great. You have the entrance area here, with the stairs and some kind of statue in the middle. The small vessels, I don't recall what the names were, what they were called, but of course, the trees. And you have to understand that, going into this really mini scale or size, everything isn't just, to scale, if you will, if you understand what I'm saying here. The trees are, twice or three times as high, some of them, than the buildings are almost as tall as, the smaller pyramids and stuff like that. So I can't imagine how, high a person would be. Maybe like one of these studs or something, height-wise. But anyway, I do enjoy the look of it. You have the entrance here, which goes into the pyramid. And if we look at the sides, they have these dune patterns here, which just gives this extra effect that we're in the desert. And then the back side, you do have, let's see if I can just tilt this camera a bit. You do have the corridors that they mentioned. One thing about my set though is that it doesn't really, it should be flush against, the you shouldn't see these cracks going here. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Oh, it wasn't in place. There you go. Much better. So anyway, I guess this is the king's tomb then, the pharaoh. Not sure what these are. Some air vents, maybe air ducts or something. Anyway, interesting thing though is that you can see the slots down here. It's always almost made for buying an additional set to just put it up to this one, and I've seen people do that, and I mean I'm actually considering it, so it would be nice. But then I wouldn't buy. I would have more sand dunes on the backside. So anyway, one other feature of this is that you can actually lift up the pyramid. Let's see if we can get it loose here. There we go. If we look at the inside, you can see the whole, construction parts here, but it's just to hold everything in place. But then we have one version of how they believe, everything was built with, different ramps dragging up, the capstone, of course, in this case. I guess all kinds of pulleys and cranes and stuff like that. So one thing though, again, this thing about scale is that you have these steps are very high if you compare to, let's see, I'll just show you in the image here. You can see one of these steps are much smaller. So if this is representing building, the pyramid up to maybe somewhere around here, they should have maybe used, these one by one sort of studs or tiles to build the whole thing, but that would have taken forever, I guess. Well, nothing else to say about this. It's just a nice detail, I guess. You can display it this way if you want, but of course, most of the people, including myself, will be displaying with the pyramid completely built, because it just looks nice in white and gold and in these beige colors. So, right, so I guess that's it. I did enjoy the build, of course. It was fairly simple. This was actually one of the more simple builds that I had, because there were just a ton of these just larger pieces everywhere, except for when I was placing or planting, you know, the trees. That was kind of a hassle, but other than that, it was nice. And this will make a nice display piece, like, you know, most of the things that I buy. I only buy sets that I really do enjoy looking at. That they look, you know, great coloring, great build, and stuff like that, and great amount of detail. And in terms of detail, you know, you can't go much lower than one stud. So that's one of the issues with the architecture series, I guess. But that's fine. That's fine. This one looks great. So anyway, that's it for the set and this build. So I'll see you in the next one.